Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're back with another reacting to your football hot takes. I've not done one of these videos in a minute, but I missed it, and I know you guys probably missed it as well. This is a fan favorite series on this channel. We always get so much support in these videos, so much support on the community tab posts every time I ask for you guys to submit your hot takes. So I want to say how much I appreciate that, man. It honestly means so much to me. And yeah, man, I'm geeked right now because I love how I love making these videos, and I know you guys like really enjoy watching these videos as well. So it's a perfect marriage. It's like peanut butter and jelly, or me and your mom. Actually, it's like me and your mom. Boom, right there. We just are so, it's just a perfect match. But anyway, we're already making mom jokes like 30 seconds into the video. But anyway, guys, like I said, I appreciate you guys for submitting your hot takes if you did. If you did not, then check out my community tab posts every like 2 weeks, and I'll be posting when I'm going to be doing these videos so you guys can get your hot takes in there and maybe get involved. And yeah, man, enough yapping. Let's start reacting to some of your hot takes. The first take we have here is Mbappe after he retires will be remembered more for what he did for his national team than his club like R9, Pele, etc. It's kind of hard for me to buy or sell this take right now because it's projecting so far into the future, and I don't know what Mbappe's career is going to look like in 10, 15, or 20 years. But I'll tell you this because I promise you I'm not going to pussy out of this take. I will give you an answer. If Mbappe would have stayed at PSG, I would have said 100% yes. He would have been, his legacy would have been made at the national team. But since he joined Real Madrid, I'm going to say I slightly disagree with this because, again, it's the first, remember this, really put this into perspective for a second. It's the first time in over half a decade Kylian Mbappe is playing at a serious club. He played for Monaco, a serious club. Then he joined PSG, a joke of a club. I mean, just an embarrassing institution as a whole. And now he's at Real Madrid. And Real Madrid, we know in the UCL, it doesn't matter who they have, they're always going far into that competition. So if Mbappe in 10 or 15 years from now, he retires, okay, obviously he retires a Madrid player, and he's won 5 UCLs, and he's won 4 Ballon d'Ors, and he's won a treble, and he's won 7 league titles. Like, obviously people are going to remember what he did at the national team, but the bulk of his legacy is going to come from the club, at the club level. Kind of like Ronaldo, you know, everybody knows Ronaldo won a Euro, but what makes Ronaldo so great, like his accomplishments mostly come at the club level. And I think Mbappe is going to be remembered like that. Again, but if he would have stayed at PSG, I would have bought this take because Mbappe is a guy who, you know, he has some really, really good club moments with PSG. He made a UCL final in 2020, even though he was pretty shitty in that final. But again, he made that final in 2020 and lost against a historic, one of the best teams of all time, 2019, 2020 Bayern Munich. He's also scored at some of the most iconic venues in world football already. He scored at the Allianz Arena. He scored at the Etihad. He scored at the Camp Nou. He scored at the Bernabeu. So again, those moments are there. But when people think about Kylian Mbappe, at least me, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, I think about what he did in the World Cup in 2022, scoring a hat-trick in that final, and just being amazing throughout the whole tournament. I think about what he did in the World Cup in 2018, bursting onto the scene as a teenager, and just scoring a goal in a World Cup final as a teenager, like Pele did, and just being amazing in that tournament as well. So again, I think as of right now, I'm going to slightly sell this take because I think Mbappe is going to be, I don't know if he's like, look, he hasn't gotten off to the best start at Madrid. It's looking pretty bad for him as of right now because he has just not been on the best form. But I think he's going to pick it up. To me, he's the best and most talented player in the world right now. So I'm not going to bet on Mbappe to be a flop for the next 10 years. I think he's going to pick it up at some point and they're going to win trophies. So I think Mbappe is going to, I mean, if Madrid go on to do what they've been doing for the past decade, which is dominating the UCL, and Mbappe's part of that team, I think he will be more remembered for what he did at the club level with Madrid. But again, if he would have stayed at PSG, I would have 100% bought this take. The next take we have here is Luis Suarez will go as one of the most underachieved player in terms of trophies in history. I had a stroke trying to read that, but I get what you're trying to say, and I'm gonna 100% disagree with this take. I don't buy it whatsoever. I'm gonna say it one more time. I've said it multiple times in these hot take videos, but I'm gonna say it one more time. People have become too spoiled with Messi and Ronaldo. Just because you didn't win 5 UCLs, it does not mean you underachieve when it comes to trophies. Luis Suarez has won multiple league titles, and at the time, the toughest league in the world. Luis Suarez has won multiple domestic cups. Luis Suarez won a fucking treble. He won a treble, he won a UCL. The only other striker with a better trophy caliber than Luis Suarez in this era is Karim Benzema, because he has one of the best of all time. He's in that room with Messi and Ronaldo because he's won so many UCLs. Now his league titles aren't the same as Suarez, but still Benzema, his trophy caliber, we all know, is elite. But if you compare him to the other guy in this generation, Robert Lewandowski, what makes Lewandowski's trophy cabinet better than Suarez? Lewandowski's also won only one. He's also only won one UCL, and he also won a treble when he won that UCL. Lewandowski has more league titles, I'm pretty sure. If not, I'm not sure. I think he has more league titles by a few. But again, remember, Lewandowski played the bulk of his prime in one of the weaker leagues in European football. When Luis Suarez was winning his league titles in La Liga, that was against prime Real Madrid. Okay? So Luis Suarez he's won Eredivisie titles, he's won La Ligas, he's won a UCL. Luis Suarez underachieved in the UCL, I will tell you that. Because Luis Suarez, when you look at the all-time great strikers of this generation, and again, I'm talking about Karim Benzema and Robert Lewandowski, he's not in that same room with them. Because those guys are dominant when it comes to the UCL, especially Karim Benzema. And Luis Suarez was a guy who, for years, failed to score an away goal in a UCL. He was great in 2015, but after that, he mostly underachieved in the UCL with Barcelona. So if you want to talk about the UCL, that's fine. But when it comes to trophy cabinets, he never won a title with Liverpool. Okay, he almost dragged into that title. And again, I'm not going to blame him for not winning a Premier League with Liverpool because when he went to Barca, he was winning league titles for fun and winning a UCL. So I disagree with this take. Again, don't just look at Messi and Ronaldo, bro. It's hard to win a lot of UCLs. It's very difficult to do. And Luis Suarez won one. Okay, so for me, I'm going to disagree with this take. I think Luis Suarez, compare him to Harry Kane, right? Harry Kane has never won a trophy. This guy's won a UCL, multiple league titles. That to me is not underachieving when it comes to trophies. I think Luis Suarez's trophy cabinet, while it could have been better, obviously because he should have won more titles with MSN, I think it's still plenty good. And I think, I'm not gonna say he underachieved when it came to trophies. I think that's disingenuous. The next take we have here is if David Silva played for Barca or Madrid in his prime, he'd be a top 5 midfielder of all time. I see this take quite a bit, and I don't understand where it's coming from. Because people act like David Silva played for Nottingham Forest for his whole career. David Silva played for Man City when they were starting to become Man City. Like, everybody knows how good David Silva was. And before that, he played for Valencia with David Villa, a team that I watched a lot when I was younger, and he was a fucking stud there as well. And then, obviously, he was part of those Spain teams that won the Euro and won the World Cup. So David Silva wasn't, like, in the shadows for his whole career. And I'm going to disagree with this take. I think David Silva is a guy who, he's so underrated by people, he's kind of become overrated. He was a great player. For most of his career, he was one of the best midfielders in the Prem, a top 5 midfielder in the Prem. He's one of those guys, along with maybe like Santi Cazorla, who are extremely underrated because they weren't Xavi or Iniesta, but they were still plenty good. But he would not be a top 5 midfielder of all time. Okay, he's not better than Xavi. He's not better than Iniesta. He wouldn't have been, by the way. He's not better than Cruz. He's not better than Luka Modric. Okay, he's not better than Sergio Busquets. He's not better than Kevin De Bruyne, in my opinion. So again, for me, when I look at David Silva, again, is he even better than Cesc Fabregas? If you look at Cesc Fabregas, again, if you look at those crop of Spanish teams that had so many great midfielders, everybody talks about Xavi and Iniesta, but there's a reason why those guys started and those other guys didn't. Because when it came to the national team, those guys were just better. So again, for me, David Silva, I don't want to make it seem like I'm disrespecting him because again, I think he's such a good player and such a undervalued player historically in football. But do I think if he played for Barcelona Madrid, he'd be a top 5 midfielder of all time? No. Because again, he played for Man City. People know who David Silva is, and I don't think he would have gotten into those teams over those guys ahead of him. He would have obviously gotten playing time because Cesc Fabregas got playing time when he went to Barca. But would he have gotten in that team over Cruz or Modric at Madrid, or even Mesut Ozil? Not really, in my opinion, because I think Mesut Ozil is a better player also than David Silva. So I think he would have gotten into those Barca teams over Xavi and Iniesta. Absolutely the fuck not. So again, David Silva, a great player, okay, but for me, I'm not gonna buy this take because I think David Silva is a guy who was really, really good, but he never really sat at that table with those guys. The next take we have here is Ronaldo 2012 is the best season a player has ever had and not win a Ballon d'Or. This is an interesting take for sure because in recent memory, there's been so many dominant seasons that have not won the Ballon d'Or. I can think of Haaland in 2023 when he won the treble and scored over 50 goals, and obviously Messi won it. I can think about Henry in 2003, when he had 30 goals and 30 assists. If you want to talk about Luis Suarez in 13-14, I know he didn't win a single trophy, but what he did for Liverpool was insane. Luis Suarez in 15-16 when he had like over 60 goals in all comps. Messi in 2017-2018 was utterly fucking dominant. Van Dijk in 2018-2019 was one of the best, if not the best, center back seasons ever in my opinion, and he obviously failed to win the Ballon d'Or. Ronaldo in 2012 is a good shot because he had so many, he was just such an output machine that year. He had like 60 goals, I think 20 assists, like 80 GA playing out on that wing with Jose Mourinho. And to me, 2012 is Ronaldo's athletic prime. When I looked at him in that season, he was just doing stuff that you were like, what the fuck, this guy, like he was just so powerful and so direct. And he was so good at basically everything when it came to attacking football. But again, for me, if I had to say the best season a player's ever had to not win a Ballon d'Or, I would actually lean more towards Ronaldo in 2015. I think Ronaldo in 2015 was so fucking good. People forget about how good Ronaldo was in 2015 because that Madrid team under Rafa Benitez underachieved. But, he was insane. And obviously, Barca won the treble and Messi was so good that year that people would just forget about how good Ronaldo was. But to me, I'm going to say Ronaldo in 2015 because his numbers were fucking crazy. Ronaldo in 2012, like I said, is a good shout, but there's also multiple other ones in there like I threw out, like Henry in 03 and Haaland in 2023. And Van Dijk. But if I had to buy or sell this take, I would say I disagree or sell it because I think I would pick 2015 Ronaldo as a better season to not win the Ballon d'Or over 2012 Ronaldo. The next take we have here is Ter Stegen is getting too much hate. People tend to forget he was the best goalkeeper 2 years ago and still saves us at times. While I do agree that Ter Stegen gets a lot of hate, especially from his own fan base, I mean, Barca fans have the most creative nicknames for this guy, Ter Saddam, Ter Statue, and trust me, I laugh at every single one of them. So I think Ter Stegen does get a lot of hate. You talking about what he did 2 years ago, is irrelevant to me. As a Barca fan, I could give a fuck, honestly, a flying fuck about what Ter Stegen accomplished 2 years ago with like his goal record in La Liga. It's 2024, man. And the fact of the matter is, Matt currently is a shadow of himself. And the sooner Barca realize that, the sooner this club can move forward. Because while he is still a really good keeper, I think he's still top 10 in the world, Matt is just not that guy anymore. He's just simply not that guy. And there's too many times where he fails to dive for a ball that he could easily save, and he just stands there because he wants to make it look like it was unsavable, so people don't blame him. There's too many times he gets beaten at his near post, like he did against Rayo Vallecano. There's too many times he's subpar with his speed, which is something that he actually excelled at for most of his career. There's too many times where like he doesn't know how to command his box. So again, I think Ter Stegen is a guy who, there's too many times where he fails to save penalties. Ter Stegen is one of the worst goalkeepers I've ever seen at saving penalties, despite being elite. Even in his prime, he wasn't really good at it. So for me, again, Ter Stegen is a guy who, while I still think he's a really good keeper and very serviceable and can make big saves and have really good games every now and then, if you're like, he can't sustain that level anymore. And again, I believe he's the best goalkeeper in Barca history. I believe he's better than Victor Valdez. But right now, I don't care about what he did 2 years ago, because right now, Ter Stegen is a guy who is simply just not at the level of the best goalkeepers in the world. If you look at the best teams in world football, they all have really good goalkeepers. I mean, Madrid has Courtois, Liverpool has Alisson. You know what I mean? Yes, I mean, Ederson is kind of shaky at times, but he's better than Ter Stegen, I can promise you that. Raya is good for Arsenal. So again, for me, I think Ter Stegen is a guy who, yes, he gets too much hate, but talking about what he did 2 years ago, it's irrelevant to me as of right now. The next take we have here is Fede Valverde is not only the best 8 in the world right now, but also the best midfielder in the world right now, and will be in the same conversation as Modric and Kroos for the best Real Madrid midfielders in history once he retires. That's a mouthful. That's what she said. Your mom said that actually about me. Anyway, we have to do it. But anyway, do I think Fede Valverde is the best 8 in the world right now? Yes, he is. He is the best 8 in the world right now. He's the engine for that team. Real Madrid has started off really slow this season. The best player on those teams has been Fede Valverde thus far. He's been amazing basically every single game that he's played. And he's a guy who's so consistently great basically every single game. He barely ever has a bad performance. You barely ever look at Fede Valverde and say, wow, he stuck up the pitch today. He's such an engine for that team. He's a fucking workhorse. This is a guy who could play anywhere. Fede Valverde is the type of guy that if you could have 11 of one player, you would want to have 11 Fede Valverdes. Because you could stick that guy in fucking goalkeeper and he could do a job. You could put him at center back and he could do a job. You could put him at striker and he could do a job. He's played right wing before. He could play deep. He could play deep. He could play more advanced. So Fede Valverde is a guy that to me is the best 8 in the world. He's one of the most versatile and talented players in world football. And I think when his career is all said and done, I mean, look at his trophy cabinet thus far already. This is a guy who's assisted in a UCL final. You know, in 2022, he assisted Vinny in that game in Paris against Liverpool. He was amazing in this last UCL run. Again, he's always great. So I think right now he is the best 8 in the world. And he's a guy who's an Iron Man. When does Fede Valverde ever miss games? He's always on the pitch. So when people were making these Real Madrid lineups before Mbappe got there and they were like talking about how Madrid's going to set up, they would leave Valverde out. And I'm like, do you guys watch your own team? Do you guys realize how fucking good this guy is? He's a phenom. He's a workhorse. And to me, right now, he is the best 8 in the world. And I think once Modric and Kroos, once his career is all said and done, I think he will be in that conversation with Modric and Kroos because I think he has the talent. And I think he's going to have the longevity and the legacy at the club to be obviously in that conversation with those two legends. The next take we have here is Juve 2017 are the best UCL runner-ups in the last 20 years. If you would have said in the last 10 years, I would have agreed. But in the last 20 years, that goes back to 04-05 because obviously this is the 2024-2025 UCL season. And obviously 20 years, 04-05, we count that in there. And 04-05, the UCL runner-ups were 05 Milan. One of the best teams on paper of all time with Cafu and Jaap Stam and obviously Inzaghi and you had Crespo and you had Pirlo and you had Kaká. So again, in the last 20 years, no, but those Juve teams in 2017 and also 2015 are some of the best UCL runner-ups in the past 20 years. They're definitely in the top 5 in my opinion. You could also throw in 07-08 Chelsea in my opinion because that team was fucking amazing. 08-09 United was really good as well. But I think for me, if I had to pick one team that was the best runner-up, it would be 04-05 Milan, who obviously lost that final in Istanbul to Liverpool, that iconic game. But Juve are definitely up there. And Juve, it's so unfortunate for them, man. If you're a Juve fan, you got to be so upset because in 2017 and 2015, if they won that game, if they won those finals, they would have won a treble. And unfortunately for them, they came up against two of the best teams of all time. 2015 Barca in Berlin. I mean, that Juve team was stacked, but they were never going to beat that Barca team. And that team had names like Pogba and Marquisio and obviously Vidal and who the fuck am I thinking of? And Pirlo, and obviously you had Tevez up top, and you had Barzagli, Bonucci, and Chiellini and Buffon. In 2017, it was that same similar core, but you obviously had Dybala and Higuain and Pjanic and Dani Alves. And again, in that day in Cardiff, they came up against 2017 Real Madrid, and they were never going to win that game. They were never going to beat Barca in Berlin. They were never going to beat Madrid in Cardiff because those two teams were just so good. Everybody knew they were going to win. But again, they're definitely in the top 5. If I had to pick, I'd say Milan is number 1, 04, 05. Then I would say 2014, 2015 Juve to me is better than 2017 because I think that midfield was so good. It was just, I put it in my head. And then I would probably say 2017. I would probably say 07, 08 Chelsea is up there because that team was so good. People forget how good that Chelsea team was. And then I would probably have 2016, 2017 Juve. But yeah, man, for me that Juve team was stacked. It was so fun to watch. I mean, they spanked Barca in the quarterfinals. It was a total domination. But again, unfortunately for them, they came up against 2017 Madrid. But I would say 04 or 05 Milan is the best in the last 20 years. But Juve is definitely in that conversation. But again, if I had to pick one Juve team, I would say 2014, 2015 was a better runner-up. The next take we have here is healthy Pedri is the best center mid in the world. When Pedri's fully healthy, I think he can be in the conversation for best center mid in the world. But we gotta stop doing this, bro, because there are players who are always healthy, and we gotta give them the credit. I mean, Fede Valverde, who I just spoke about, who I believe is the best center mid in the world, he's always healthy. And do I think that Pedri, if he could stay healthy for a full season, he could be in that conversation with Fede Valverde 100%? Because I think he's in that conversation now, and he barely ever fucking plays. But again, if I had to, I just don't want to become that annoying fan that's always like, oh, if he's fit. I mean, you got to stay fit for a full season. And I understand, I'm not trying to be insensitive because I know it's not Pedri's fault that he's always hurt. I mean, it's just unfortunate for him. But again, when you look at guys who are always healthy, you got to give him that credit because being healthy is a skill, and Pedri, that's not a skill that he excels at, and Fede Valverde does excel at that skill. And I think their skill set, they're obviously very different players, but I think Fede Valverde is a guy who you got to give him that advantage right now. But I think if Pedri can stay healthy, hopefully for a full year, he definitely can be in that conversation for years to come. The next tip we have here is supporting 2 different clubs is fine as long as they aren't in the same league and you never change them. Then it's perfectly okay. This is tough because I think, the football purist in me says no. But again, it's really never that deep. Again, it's only football. It's not the Civil War. You're not picking the South or the North, okay? So I kind of see where you're coming from, but to me personally, I can never support 2 clubs. Again, I'm not saying it's bad if you do, but I see these people who support Liverpool and Real Madrid, and I'm like, how the fuck does that even work? How can you support Liverpool and Real Madrid? Because for me as a Barca fan, I put so much effort, so much blood, sweat, and tears, which is crazy to say for a fucking football team that has no idea that I exist. But again, I put so much effort into being a Barca fan. I couldn't imagine putting that effort into supporting any other club. So if I supported Barca and let's just say Inter, and they face off against each other, you're always going to have one that you like more. Like when Barca score, you're going to root, and then when Inter score, you're going to root for them as well. You can have clubs you like, but being a die-hard fan of a club, you can only be a die-hard fan of one club. If you want to support, if you want to root for them, when they play, yeah, sure. What's the team that I like? I like Inter. I like Inter. I think Inter are a good team. But when Inter played Barca in the UCL, oh my God, I wanted to murder them. I don't want to see Inter get a single goal because Barca is my team. But there's people who are actually diehards of 2 clubs, and I don't understand. I don't think you can put that much. I don't think you can be a diehard of 2 clubs. I think you can like 2 teams, but to be you can only be a real fan of one team. So again, for me, I'm not the fucking fan base police, so I don't care if you support 2 teams. But me personally, I can never do it because I just couldn't imagine being that locked into a game where I don't know how to explain it, but you guys get what I mean, I guess. The next take we have here is one of the worst takes I've ever seen is Messi is overrated even though he's the greatest of all time. That, my friend, is what you would call an oxymoron. You know what that means? When you're saying something that contradicts itself. You cannot be overrated and also the greatest of all time. That's literally impossible. When you're the greatest at something, it is impossible to be overrated. Oh, Michael Phelps is really good, but he's overrated. He's the greatest swimmer of all time, but he's overrated. Usain Bolt is the greatest sprinter of all time, but he's a little bit overrated. How does that work? How does that even fucking work? Messi's not overrated. Where is this coming from? Where is this? I don't know where you pulled this take out of. I think it was out of your behind. I think you pulled this take out of your ass because there's no way Messi can be overrated. When you look at Messi as an individual player on the pitch, his skill set, which is what mostly matters when you're talking about a football player and you're evaluating footballers, he's the greatest football player ever. He has the most broad skill set of any player in the history of football. He's elite at literally every single facet of the game, especially I'm obviously talking attacking wise, which is what matters the most. And if you want to talk about trophy cabinet, which to me is a lazy way to look at a player, but again, if you want to do that, he has the greatest trophy cabinet of all time. He has the club trophies. He has the international trophies. He has the individual trophies. Messi has every trophy you could ask for. So for me, I don't know where you got this shit from, but I really wanted to put it into this video just to show guys. I'm asking for hot takes, not stupid takes. I'm not trying to pick on Love Mainen because he is a loyal sub of mine and I see him all the time in the comment section. I appreciate him, but this is a stupid take, honestly. It's a very stupid take. I feel like taking out my penis and pissing on my computer just to piss all over this take, but I'm not going to do that because that'd be really, really gross. Not just for you guys, but for me as well, because then I would have to touch my keys and they'd be all sticky and shit. Anyway, this take is terrible. I'm definitely not agreeing with it at all. A couple more takes here before we finish off the video. Mbappe will be on the bench by mid to late October. Kylian Mbappe, listen to me very carefully when I say this. Please listen up, okay? If you're wearing earphones, turn up the volume. And if you're not wearing earphones, just turn up the volume anyway. Listen to me very carefully. Kylian Mbappe could take out his dick and slap Ancelotti in the face with it, and he wouldn't get benched. Kylian Mbappe could get a mug of hot coffee, put his sperm in it, give it to a player, have him drink it, and give it to Fiorentino Perez actually, have Fiorentino Perez drink it, and he wouldn't get benched, okay? Kylian Mbappe could get a machine gun, okay, like Rambo style, and shoot every player on the pitch, including his own teammates, and everybody in the stands, and he wouldn't get benched. Kylian Mbappe is not getting benched from Madrid. That is never gonna happen. You did not wait years to get this guy to then sit his ass on the bench, okay? I don't care if he doesn't score a single goal from now until May. He's not getting benched. He's going to be on the starting lineup every single game. Who's your backup plan? 16-year-old Endrick? Really? That's what you're going to rely on? Joselu's gone. Mbappe is still, like, he's not getting benched. This is a crazy take. Kylian Mbappe will never get benched from Madrid. First of all, he's not going to be bad enough to ever get benched because he's still killing fucking Mbappe. And number two, he has, like, I don't know. I'm not saying that he has all, like, it's not PSG because he doesn't have all this leverage. And I get Madrid is a club who mostly, they always have the power when it comes to, like, player-club relationships because it is Real Madrid. But again, you did not wait all these years to get Kylian Mbappe to just sit his ass on the bench. Mbappe is not going to get benched. He's going to be on the pitch for a very long time for Madrid. So no, I don't agree with this take at all. And the final take we have in this video is the new UCL format is better than the original. There will be better fixtures at the beginning. I actually, at first I was really skeptical about the UCL format, and I still kind of am because I don't like the extra games. I don't like the 8 games. I think it's stupid. I think it's just gonna add more injuries to these players, which, the schedule's already so congested. To go on and play 2 more UCL games, high intensity football matches, to me it's gonna be a recipe for disaster, and it's gonna end up making the product worse down the line. But in terms of the format, if it would have been 32 teams instead of 36, I would have liked that a lot more. But 36 to me just seems a little bit too inclusive. I mean, it's just everybody gets in. But again, the format in and of itself, I watched the whole draw yesterday. And I thought it was really, really cool how they did. I mean, the software thing and Ronaldo pressing the button, even though he looked like he didn't want to be there. I mean, Ronaldo looked like he was trying to get the fuck out of there. I don't know how much he got paid for that, but it must have been a shit ton of money. To get Ronaldo to go do that, to just press a button, you have to pay him a shit ton of money. But anyway, I think the new UCL format is cool because you get to see all these different teams playing all these different venues. I mean, we get to see Madrid go to Anfield and Milan and Madrid. We get to see Barca and Bayern once again, and Barca go play Dortmund, and you get to see Leverkusen against Liverpool. So that to me is really, really cool. But again, when I look at the format of the UCL, I always liked the old one because it was more nostalgic, but it was maybe getting a little bit old, because a lot of these games maybe never meant anything, and there was always that one team that got the easiest group. You always had Man City getting young boys and fucking some random team in Serbia in the UCL, and then there was teams that got these hard ass groups. But again, to me, I think the new UCL format is cool. I just don't like the addition of the games because I think it's putting too much pressure on the players, and it's just going to make it for a worse product down the line when they eventually get injured, unfortunately. And that, guys, is the end of the video. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. I love every single one of you. To everybody who submitted their hot take, it means a lot to me, man. Thank you so much. And yeah, man, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.